Today I will show you how to animate this fancy bird with the background. The animation will take around 20 minutes and I hope you enjoy. So we have this bird here, and important thing is if you try to animate stuff, you try to separate the layer or the character or whatever into separate layers as much as possible to be able to animate them. The pupil here, it's on a separate layer, the eye, the head, the hair 1, the hair 2, the body part here, the tail part here, the beak of the bird also on a separate layer, and the back wing over here, as you can see. So here I'm using the newest After Effects, and I try to import my illustration files. Should have this project window on the left side available, and here I can just drag and drop all my files that I want. So I just open here my bird file, drag and drop it here, and then After Effects will ask me, well, how should I import it? So I check here composition and choose this doesn't matter so much, so I will choose layer size. And now I see After Effects created 2 layers for me, bird layers, and I got my fancy bird imported already. And the same as in Illustrator, we can see back here, like I created for every layer like a separate illustration, like the wing here, and it directly one-on-one imports them into my After Effects file, so I can easily see here it's the same principle of the layer, like it's also called the same as I named them here. And so with this process you can easily import your stuff into After Effects. And now because we created them in Illustrator, like with really nice shapes, we want to also tell After Effects, hey, these are vector files, please also treat them like vector files. To do this, we can easily just select all my Illustrator files here. I press Shift on the first layer till the last layer 10 to select them all in one piece and create here this sun symbol by clicking on this layer. And now we can see it's more sharp. Then we tell After Effects now these are vector files. So we first, when we try to animate something like a character, we mostly try to animate the most important part first. So I will first start to animate like the wings. Click here on my wing layer, and I can just uncheck here this button here to get out my transform values. And here I have like the basic stuff like position. I move this left and right. I can move my layer left and right. If I use here the scale feature, I can make my wing big and small. If I use the rotation, I can rotate my layer. If I use opacity, I can turn my opacity on and off. So in this case, because we want to rotate the wing, I will try to use the rotation value. But we can see now here that the wing just rotates in the middle of the wing because we have the anchor point here applied. But it would be better, I guess, when the wing would rotate like from this part over here. And to change this, you just select the layer and press here this star symbol or pen behind tool. And I just drag and drop this anchor point to this upper corner here. And if I now just do the same thing and rotate my layer, it rotates now on this kind of point. So now we can just easily animate this better. So how do we animate stuff on After Effects? So first of all, I just click on my layer and I will create a keyframe. In this case, rotation. I just create here one. Just go a bit on my timeline to the right, maybe after 1 second, and go fully up. And after 2 seconds, to make it loop flawlessly, I just copy and paste this first keyframe here, which is 0. Like I can just highlight it and press Command C and Command V to just copy and paste it to get like this kind of animation happening. So I scroll the timeline left and right. Now I can just watch my animation happening. Or I can just press space on the keyboard to just see the animation like playing. And now we have already the wing animated, but now it's a bit too slow. So to make animations faster, I just move this keyframes here closer. So instead of 2 seconds, I will just make 1 second, the wing up and down, and I will just check it out. And it's now already faster. And to just make it loop like this part over here, like let's say I want to make an 1 second animation, I can just drag and drop this part over here. I need to just scroll out really a lot here, just move it down to 1 second. I can also use the Option key and the middle mouse scrolling to scroll in and out of my timeline to easily, just make it bigger or smaller instead of clicking here. So I click here 1 second, and I see now here my animation, bird up and down, and it looks already cool, I guess. And now it still feels like already cool. So I do the same thing now for the back wing here. So I go now to my wing front and wing back, and I just create the same rotation keyframes here. So 1 keyframes down here. And now just a small note, I can't see my layer fully because the body is on front. So we can just, for this case, isolate our layer so we can see cool the background here. So I just press here this button. It's making the layer in isolation mode. And now I can just see the layer in my preview. And here I can then easily just adjust my anchor point as before. And then as a reference, I can just check also my keyframes that I created for my front wing over here. So here I created one which makes the wing fully up. And then of course here it's again in the default mode 0. And if I just check out, the wing from the back also rotates now fully up and down. I can easily make it even more higher, maybe like this. So it's more like better to watch and look smoother. So now the wing back and forth, they rotate the same, which is cool, but they feel like still a bit robotic. And to give like this robotic feeling out, we can ease the keyframes. And to do this, it's pretty simple. I just highlight all the keyframes. And just to show you, like right now, After Effects calculates the keyframe to move it like this up and down, really like straightforward, like let's say like a computer. But if we see like stuff in nature, like car moving, at first starts slow and fast. And the same applies also for birds when they use like wing flapping. We want to have like a different kind of speed happening each turn. To do this in After Effects, we can just highlight our keyframes, press right click, and then we can, 1 second, I move this a bit up. So I go here to keyframe assistance and press easy ease. And what After Effects now does is making my keyframes like this cross shape. And if I now check out my timeline here, it now makes the interpolation of it like more smoother. Like we can see it's first start slow, get fast and slow. And now as compared to the back wing, which is not easy yet, we can see it's like already a bit different. So yeah, this is like a small trick to do it. Then the next thing is we do the same also for the back wing. And instead of creating this easy ease, instead of creating right clicking and press easy ease, we can just highlight the layers and press F9. It's just a shortcut for the same thing, and now we have cool wing animation. So now our bird looks already cool, it flaps, and the next thing is maybe to move it with the body up and down. So I move now the body, and now I have the issue, okay, my body, when I try to move it up and down, my wings get detached. So we need to find a way to attach my wings to the body. And we do now parenting to make it easy and cool in After Effects. We see here this parent and link attribute on the right side. And we just click on the wing front and wing back. Like I click on my wing front here. And I use this whip tool. Here, drag and drop. I just select my body layer here. And I can see how now it says 7 body, which is the 7th layer here and my body. And if I now try to move it, my wing is still attached on it and it moves with the body together. So I try to now connect the back wing also here with my body. And I can now easily see the back and front wing is now attached also to the body. So with this, we can then now later animate also the body. But it's a good idea to also parent the other elements of the bird beforehand, before we try to animate more. So I try to select my pupil over here. And I connect it to the eye, because it's sitting in the eye here. So when I move it around, I can see it's still on my eye here. Then the eye itself, it's attached on the head. So I connect it to my head. And now if I move the head around, head stays cool inside. Then the small here, the part up here and the hair here, they're both attached on my head itself also. So if I move my head around, these 2 hairs are still attached to it. Then the next thing is here, this beak. It's also, if I see my illustration, it's attached to the head, so I connect it to my head here. And if I move it now around, the head seems to work now fully cool. And the head itself is attached to the body, my root of my whole character, because everything seems to end up in the body. I connect it to my body. And if I now rotate my body, because I did a cool setup, it's everything now moving together. And just one last thing is missing, it's here the tail of the bird. And I move it also to the body. So to do head rotation, I go to my head layer. I can press U on the keyboard to see already the layers that I created on the layer. The keyframes I created already on the layer, I can open it with U. And on my head, if I click R, it's a shortcut. Instead of pressing here transform, R for rotation, I can just click on my layer here and press R for rotation, P for position, S for scale. So it's just a faster way to get into the menu. So in this case, I press R for rotation and I try to rotate my head. And as you can see, it really works cool, but it's always a good habit to just move your ankle point a bit, like not in the middle, more like where you have your ankles and rotation points, so it looks like a bit more dynamic. So in this case, I move my head more to the neck, to the ankle point where the neck can be, and I just also create here, similar to the wing, maybe a small rotation, maybe like this, the head goes a bit down, and then I copy paste it and it goes here again to 0 default, and I press F9. And now it already looks cool, like the head just slowly rotates up and down. The next thing is the body. It can also maybe rotate a bit too. So while the bird is up, let's give it a light rotation, like -4 for example, and then bring it back to the default state and press F9 to make it like easy ease. And now it looks already more dynamic. The same thing we can do is also do the same principle for the tail. I move here the anchor point, and to do the same trick as before, I just open my isolation mode here to just see my tail to easily apply my anchor point, then turn it off again, and then press again R for rotation and move my tail, maybe in this case a bit down, and then copy paste the default value here and press F9. And now I already have a cool small bird flapping here. And we can also just combine not just rotation values, we can also combine it with position values. So instead of R, I press P for position, open again with U on my keyboard the keyframes, so you just see like my necessary values here. And then maybe when the wings are both up, the body just slightly moves up and down like this. And then to get again the default state, I just copy and paste this keyframe here. And now I already have a cool bird flapping animation. So the thing is, right now the animation looks really cool, but all the keyframes that I created, they all happen at the same time. So what can we do it? How can we enhance our animation? Like pretty easy. We can use some expressions. Expressions are really nothing complicated. They just help you to animate stuff more efficient. So in this case, we would like maybe the head rotation move a bit like later, like let's say like 2 frames to the left. Like I can click on this layer and I move my rotation a bit to the left. And you can see already this creates like a cool little offset movement here on the head. And here, this part over here, it's not yet animated. So we can either just copy and paste the keyframes like this. But this, like in long term, is tiring. So this would work, for example. So I created for you guys here some expressions. So the expression that we want to check out, 1 second. So the expression I want to check out is here, this loop out cycle. So as you can see here, loop out cycle loops out keyframes after the ones that we created. In this case, it's like needed. We have here our head, we create keyframes, and if I want to move it here on the left side, it should loop out here on the right side. So I just copy here my expression, copy, and to add the expression on my keyframes, I just press Option key or the Control key on my keyboard and press the time watch here, and it opens this expression window. And while it's open, I just paste fully my loop out expression inside. And now when I just move my layer around, I can see it just loops out my expression that I created before. So what this script actually does, it just takes my keyframes here and copy paste them like this as I showed you before. So I just move it to the left, maybe 2 keyframes or 2 frames to create this offset, and it looks really cool. I notice now here this hair, let's make it half. So it's hair animation. I can also do a small animation here. So I just move my anchor point here, the hair of this here, and create like a rotation as before. Like I can select them both at the same time, move them like slightly front, and then give them again the default keyframe here and press F9 to have like here some small hair flapping. And especially like for this hair flapping, this trick was really cool and makes it more alive. I can just now do the same thing, add my expression here with Command on the rotation value, and then I just click away and I just slightly move it up at left so the keyframes don't happen at the same time. And now if I check my animation here, we have a cool smooth hair flapping happening here, which looks really cool. So this loop out expression is also cool to just loop out my animation in general. So for example, I don't want to make my animation 1 second long. In this case, maybe I want to do it 10 seconds. And if I try to play the value, my head now rotates like endlessly because of the expression, but my other keyframes do not move anymore. What? My other keyframes don't move anymore because the expression just isn't applied on them. So I will just now copy and paste the same expression to my other layers. A quick way is, instead of Command V to every layer, I can just highlight here my rotation where a keyframe expression is applied, press right click and copy expression only, and then I can just select my other rotations and press Command V, and as you can see it now just applied here. Here in this case, here's a position keyframe inside with loop out. I need to just press my option key separately because it's not a rotation expression. But anyways, I can just copy and paste the same to make it loop out endlessly. So now my animation is endless, and because I animated it in 1 second, everything which is 1 second dividable, it loops up perfectly. So after 2 seconds, I can just make the animation stop 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So it should be a round number, and then it just loops out flawless. So the next thing is I want to add a background for my bird, and to do that I just use my second illustration that I've done before. It's called here background Illustrator file, and I do the same step as before. I just drag and drop it inside here, press composition, choose layer style, press OK, and now I have my background animation happening here. And I can just now close everything, and put them maybe both in a separate composition, so I don't have like 5 million layers here on the lower part. So to create a new composition in After Effects, it's also pretty easy. I just click here on this icon here in my project window, create a new composition, and call it like main comp, for example. And here you can just easily decide how big the window should be. There's also a preset, so I just use a preset maybe like the standard HD window with 1920 pixel and height 1080 pixel. And I check also that the frame rate, I just leave mine now in 25 seconds and press OK. And we see now After Effects created a new comp here. Maybe I can just move the others and others, so I just see my main comp here. So you can also make here folder structure if you want. So I have here my main comp, and now I can just drag and drop all my assets that I created before, for example my bird, into this, and it's basically just a folder which connects them together. So if I just double click on this layer, I return to the animation presets that I created before, and I can just click back here in the main comp to return to this main composition that I've done. And now I can animate my bird, how it moves maybe from left to right. So before I do that, I also want to put my background on the back, which is this. And right now my bird looks really huge in the scene. So I just press S for scale on my background layer and then just crank it up. And I can just move it a bit how I wish. maybe like this, or even smaller, or it's still huge. Let's make like this. And as you can see here now, right now, my layers are unsharp in the background because I haven't told After Effects yet to make them treated like vector files. And to do that, I just click on the background area here. I select all my layers with Command A for all and uncheck the sun symbol here. And I also need to apply the sun symbol over here. And now you can see it's getting super smooth. And with this, we can tell After Effects, hey, these are vector files. They're always sharp, so don't treat them like pictures. And I apply the same rule also to my bird. I need to really uncheck it again. And we can see now it just shows the content of the illustration, which is just here, this box, let's say. And I can just also move the anchor point to my bird so it's more like organized. And yeah, now I have applied all my layers together to have like the bird in one scene and the background. And let's make the animation maybe 5 seconds long. So I move again this blue part over here till here. So I just have a 5-second animation. And now to move the bird maybe from left to right, I can let him start with the position out of the canvas here. I create then a keyframe. And then after 5 seconds, it can fly to this side. And I just check out if it works. So now the bird flies from left to right on my scene. And it looks pretty cool. And now, because I have the background also here, we can just slightly also animate the position here. So I just take my background and maybe while it flies, it makes like a small movement like this. So it creates like a fake animation for the background. So it also looks like it's moving. And now I have this super cool small animation happening. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. Happy animating. See you soon in the next video. Bye.